I need to vent because at this point, the only thing keeping me sane are my kids. Please keep my identity anonymous. My husband has cheated on me severally ever since we got married, and in the beginning, I would get hurt each time he did this. I would cry and beg him, and he would promise to stop, but he never did. I even went as far as confronting and beating up one of the girls he was seeing in the third year of our marriage, and guess what? He popped up with a new one a week later. My mother has advised me severally to leave the marriage, but I looked at her life and said no. She and my dad had gotten divorced when I was 12 because of infidelity. She had gone on to marry another man who ended up being abusive and she left him too. Ever since then, she has been single and had dated other men but never gotten married again. I didn't like that lifestyle. I hated being the child of a divorcee and not living with both parents growing up. I promised myself that if I were ever to get married, I would do anything to keep my marriage because I didn't want to put my kids through what I went through. After the birth of our twins, I gave up and focused on our children, allowing him to do whatever he wanted. He told me he loved me, but he was a man, and it was impossible for him to control his urge. I accepted my faith, and after hearing from other married women how their husbands cheat, I decided that it wasn't a situation that was peculiar to me, so I stopped nagging or getting angry when he came home late. I would perceive different female perfume on him, but I would just keep mute about it. As long as he comes home to me and the kids, I always said to myself. My husband is a pretty good husband, aside from the cheating part. He provides, helps around the house, and takes good care of the family, so I thought there was no point ruining our marriage over that. Some people had it way worse, I would always say to myself. We have been married for 10 years now, and I had never been with another man except from him, even though I've been tempted to do so out of spite severally. 3 days ago, my husband came home looking dejected. I asked him what the issue was, and he handed me an envelope. At first, I didn't know what it was. I opened it trembling. All that came to my mind was that it was a sack letter and he had been fired. How I wish it was a sack letter. I read the content of the envelope and the earth started spinning fast. My husband has HIV. I screamed and he quickly covered my mouth, asking me to keep it down so as to not attract the neighbors. In shock, I started mumbling and crying, asking him how it was possible. He said the girl he was seeing had recently fallen very sick. After getting admitted to the hospital, she had tested positive for HIV, and he asked and she asked him to go for a test immediately. He tried comforting me, telling me that I should get tested first because there's still a possibility that I'm not infected yet. In anger, I slapped him hard multiple times while he covered his face. I hated him so much in that moment that I wanted to kill him, but refrained from doing so. This is a man I've been having raw sex with almost every day for the past month because we're trying to have another baby. There is no way I haven't been infected. I lay on the floor an hour straight crying. I thought about my life and how I hadn't gotten I'd gotten to this point. I have no one else to blame but myself for staying in this marriage. I calmed down, but my mind immediately went to a panic when I thought about my sons. Their father usually takes them to the salon whenever he wanted to cut his hair to get their hair cut too. He usually carries his own clippers each time, which they share with him. I rushed to get my phone to call my sister because our kids are currently in her house. I wanted her to take them to the hospital the next day to get tested, but he snatched the phone away from my hands. He asked me to calm down and not do that because we didn't want to spread something like that to our family. We would go over there this Friday as planned to get them and then take them to the hospital to get tested. In the meantime, however, in the meantime, however, I would leave to go to the hospital to get tested. I just came back from the hospital this evening and as predicted, I tested positive. My world is shattered, but that isn't my biggest problem. I can't imagine my kids having to live with this and they're actually infected. They might not understand now, but how would they react when they grow up to realize that the reason they have to suffer is because their father's inability to keep it in his pants and my stupidity for not leaving him. Their father has gone to get them and would be driving straight to the hospital from my sister's house. I'm anxious about what the results would be and what this means for my kids. I haven't told anyone and I'm ashamed to tell my mother about it. I just needed to get this off my chest because it feels like my world has stopped and I have no one to talk to. You see, this is the problem when we have women out there with this mentality, oh, as long as he's coming back home. How do you know that he's being safe? How do you know that he's being like intentional about the people that he's dating, right? It's just crazy to me. This story is so sad. At first, I thought all of this was just like a fictional story. I was hoping it was fictional, but this little video of the update, she had actually they've gone to get the children tested and the results are in. So have a listen.
I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, and for the past how many hours I've been looking at that text message, I couldn't even bring myself to make a post about it. And I promised myself I wasn't going to cry, but there's no way I can talk about this without crying. Um, Junior is actually HIV negative, but the younger brother Derek is actually positive. Now that little 6-year-old boy has to live for the rest of his life with HIV because of his parents' stupidity. This is what you guys should be thinking about things you are doing before you make stupid decisions. Think about your children too.
It's really heartbreaking, to be honest. I feel so sad for her sons. I feel sad for her as well, because I understand wanting to give your children what you didn't have, but at some point you have to outweigh the pros and the cons. But there's no way she would have, you know, thought of I don't know about this happening. And yeah, you could say obviously Kathy, she knows her man is cheating, so why would she sleep with him unprotected? That part, right? Heavy on that part. Like she could have protected herself, knowing that the man was being careless outside. But then the thing is, she would like to think the best of her husband, thinking that he's protecting himself outside, but then he's, you know, not using protection with her because that's his spouse, right? Trusting that he's a sensible person. So he's not only a cheat, but he's foolish. I think that's the worst combination ever. I think the best thing now is to pray for her. I pray for her children. I pray that God gives her the mental fortitude to move forward in all of this because it's crazy, right? So I hope that as women, as people, that we try to choose ourselves in this situation and just to do better, right? I wanted to bring this on the platform today for us to learn something and obviously to share our experiences for maybe for any woman right now who is in the same situation or in a situation where her husband's cheating and she's like, oh, maybe as long as he's coming home to me, so we can enlighten people. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I appreciate you. It goes a long way. Have a lovely, lovely day. Take care.